I'm sorry, Jeff, but the correct answer is all of them. They're all useless. In my first video, I didn't have enough time to say this, but I hate it when people are cool with their teachers. I understand that some teachers are more laid back than others, and sometimes they'll ask the class, so, how was everyone's weekend? Before I tell you about my poetry teacher, I need to tell you about the preparatory school I went to so you can better understand where I'm coming from. So I went to a preparatory school in 9th grade, and first off, what is a preparatory school? Google says it's a private school that prepares students for college. Now hearing that definition, you might think, wait, don't all schools prepare students for college? Isn't that a school's job? And you might think that a preparatory school is more fancy and made out of marble and all the kids come from rich families. No. What it means is that the schools get little government funding and parents have to pay for desks and the teacher's salary. I know different private schools vary depending on how rich the parents are. I'm sure that school made out of marble exists somewhere, but the preparatory school I went to was relatively worse than a normal public school. The school I went to didn't even have desks. They had fold-up tables, and the chairs were folded up too. How did they... Well, now I know where all the budget went. The main difference between a public school and a prep school is that a prep school is smaller and there's a uniform and there's lockers. So, why did my twin sister and I attend a preparatory school? Because twins have superpowers and we need to go to a special school to enhance our abilities. Now, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That'd be cool though. We went because my mom studied at freshman year, while my older brother was a senior and he was like a senior. When my mom's in high school, she did I just met him at Markle. And me and my sister didn't know what to expect from a public high school. We've never been or something. Boy, I feel like picking on someone today. Yeah, sure. I mean, what's the worst? Well, the couple right super early, but and wear the same pants every day. So now the only question remaining is, why did my older brother go to a prep school in the first place? Bro, why did you go to a prep school in the first place? IDK? My mom reads my scripts and she told me that he went to a prep school because one of his friends said that there were cute girls at the school, so he decided to stay there for 4 years. Okay, now let's talk about my poetry teacher. I'll call him Mr. Poe. That's short for Poe. Tree. Poetry wasn't even an elective class. Every freshman was required to take it, and surprisingly, poetry was only the second most useless class you took at the school. Sophomores took a class on Latin, you know, that dead language that nobody speaks. So Mr. Poe, I don't want to judge him too hard. I don't know how he was like outside of school, but just picking up the vibes I got from him as a 14-year-old, I think he was the best. To be fair, anyone who likes poetry probably has something wrong in their head. But Mr. Poe just seems sad all the time. Every single day he'd start the class by saying, "It's the best day ever." Which, if you think about it, saying that every day only means the days are going to get better and better, which is sort of poetic. But I think Mr. Poe is lying to himself. Also, Mr. Poe really liked anacondas. I mean, snakes. He really liked snakes. Sometimes he'd go off on tangents talking about snakes. Royal pythons, also called the Russian ball python, got their name because they turn into a ball when they get nervous. Also, did you know that snakes are too... Yes. Sometimes in class we'd be analyzing poetry, and Mr. Poe told us that every single word in a poem was important. The poet didn't have to use the word "the," but they did. What did they do? Single poem, taking notes and talking about what we thought the poet meant. One time a poem we were reading had someone talking, so there were quotation marks at the start of the sentence, but there weren't quotation marks at the end. The poet forgot to put end quotes. I remember noticing it and thinking, aha! A clue! Mr. Poe, I just made a breaking discovery. There's no end quote here, meaning the whole rest of this poem is told by this character. And Mr. Poe says, oh no, why am I perfectly nitpicking this piece when the poet purposely put punctuation in his poem. Pterodactyl! Off topic, do you guys know what lateral thinking puzzles are? Lateral thinking puzzles are sort of like riddles, but you're given a strange situation with little information, and you have to ask the person who told you the puzzle yes or no questions to get the answer. My favorite lateral thinking puzzle is this because it's so stupid. A man goes into a restaurant, orders albatross, eats one bite, and then jumps off a bridge. Now, normally, if you were playing Jeopardy, you would ask me yes or no questions like, was the man in a relationship? And I would answer them saying, well, not anymore. The explanation is this. I'm not going to read it out because it's super long and complicated, but you can read it if you want. Well, Mr. Poe also liked to tell these lateral thinking puzzles, but his solutions were more dumb. One of the puzzles he told the class was, you're trapped in a restaurant, how do you get out? Now, I can think of like 5 solutions right off the top of my head. Through the door, through a window, use a crowbar, probably a sharp knife to cut through a wall, or you can do the hole under everything. But it was actually none of those answers. So, how do you get out of a restaurant you're trapped in? You get an education. Okay, let me explain. You're trapped in a restaurant because you're a waiter. That's your job. And to get out of the restaurant, you need to get a good education so you can get a better job. Kind of like how I was able to quit my job in the food industry by getting an education. It's funny because you dropped out of college. So the class got the answer to that riddle, but Mr. Cole told us another riddle, and we never figured that one out. And that riddle is, anyone can dig a ditch, but it takes a real man to blank. Given that the answer to the first riddle was education, the answer to this could be anything. I really wanted to know the answer to this riddle, so I googled it hoping that Mr. Poe just stole it from the internet, and I found this song, anyone can dig a hole close enough to a ditch, but it takes a real man to call it home. Which sounds poetic enough. Let's see if the song gives us a little I can give you the answer, but I don't have one. Feel free to guess what you think the answer is and leave your reasoning in the comments. That'll be fun to read. But I will say the answer that I did come up with that I think makes the most sense. Anyone can dig a ditch, but it takes a real man to hide the body. Poetry was dumb, but at least I learned something. How to write something. Honestly, I'm glad I took a poetry class. At least it's not French. Mr. Poe, teacher, if you're somehow watching this, thanks for teaching me stuff. I need to give a big thanks to my friend Cypherden who helped color some of the pictures. She's a pretty cool dude, you should check her out. I never figured out the solution to that riddle. I guess I'm not a real man. Mr. Poe, if you're watching, I'm sorry I called you depressed. You just always sounded tired and annoyed. Well, okay, I probably sounded exactly the same when I was in your class. But honestly, Mr. Poe, it was a great class, okay? It was way better than French. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm excited for VidCon, and I hope to see you there, and wear your seatbelt. That rhymes, sorta, and it's ironic because this is about poetry. Whatever. Jeff, you have the board. I'll take random James trivia for 400, Alex. This was James's first career choice before his YouTube channel kicked off. Oh, I know this one. What is a male prostitute? Okay, that fits good now. Male prostitute was never a career goal. Well, I mean, it's not completely off the table. You never know how YouTube will turn out. If you didn't know this odd one's out trivia, I wanted to be a math teacher when I grew up. My dream job was actually a cartoonist. But since me and my parents didn't think I'd be able to make any money drawing pictures, I chose a math teacher as my, I'll settle for this job. I mean, I like math, so I wouldn't have hated being a math teacher. And I'm also probably good at teaching children. I haven't checked though, but how hard can it be? Listen kids, I have 2.7 million subs on YouTube, so if you want a shout out, you'll have to do the homework. And I thought that a teaching job would give me enough free time to doodle cartoons, so being a math teacher would have been perfect. But oh boy, that did not turn out how I expected. If for some reason my channel died and I stopped making YouTube videos, I would probably go back to school and finish my math education major. And then I'd be teaching the class, and then my students would find out that I used to do YouTube, and then they'd say, Mr. James, are you the odd ones out? The odd ones out? I haven't heard that name in years. You shouldn't smoke in front of children, Mr. James. I just want to point this out. In my preemie video, I drew my first grade teacher like this, and in my Harry the Moth video, I drew my kindergarten teacher like this. Did you have an explanation on why they're drawn so similar? Yeah, I was lazy. Teachers play such an important role for children, and if I'm being honest, I don't think they get paid enough to take their job seriously. A good teacher